It's your boy Frank. We are here on The Blend. I got my homie Nate here with me. Tell him what's up, Nate. Tell him who you are. Tell him where you're from. All that shit.
Name's Nate Douce. Been making music for some odd 16 years now. Since I was 15, I'm 32 now. So whatever that fucking math works out to be, I ain't that good at it, and it wasn't too good in math and shit. From St. John's, Newfoundland. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Been here for a minute, still doing shit, trying to keep it rolling.
Fuck yeah, man. It's good to have you here, dude. I've always been a fan of your music. Ever since the first time I heard. What was that? What was that first? It was like some remix. The first song I ever heard by you, and I'm trying to think of the name of it now. And it wasn't even when your name was Nate Douce. It was.
Oh my god!
It was before.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't mean to bring that up.
It was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny. I felt like P. Diddy for a minute, man. Growing up, I started as Psycho, SYCO. Yeah. And then I went into Youngblood, and then I got signed to U Records, and he was like, "Yo, Youngblood, that could be gang related type shit, man. Let's stray away from it and make you something more radio friendly." Yeah. And the name he suggested was horrible, but I rolled with it for a moment. And if you want to figure that shit out, you can go on the internet and find that shit out. I ain't giving it to you.
yeah, you can find it out. But yeah, man, no, it's good to have you here. Like I said, it's been a minute. We've been trying to do this one for a little while, but it happens when it's supposed to happen.
And here we are.
Exactly, man. We're here. We are. We're in the studio, so we're going to get it done.
And we've also known each other for fucking ever, man.
Forever, dude.
Forever.
Yeah.
We came up through this shit together, so it's pretty cool that, it all comes full circle and we're still connected and doing this shit.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. And that's why, anytime I've done shows and stuff like that, I've always tried to keep you in mind for certain things.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that so much.
Oh no, man, it's because when you see someone who's been doing it just as long as you they've had similar thoughts about the music stuff. Yeah. In this whole process, right?
And it's a process to keep going mentally, financially, everything. It's not an easy game to continue at.
It's not.
It's not for the faint of heart.
It really isn't.
No.
There's a lot of time, effort, and money that goes into it that a lot of people don't see and a lot of people don't realize.
No, and it's just so we can create art to share, and it's a lot of the times we create it without any other thoughts in mind except some therapeutical process at that point in time. But then, obviously the artistic side of you wants to create more and go further with it. So
yeah, absolutely, man. I still find it funny that we actually still haven't done a song either.
Yeah, it's pretty burnt.
Yeah, because we've known each other for so long. We've done a few things here and there together, and we just never ended up doing one.
And we always talk about it. Always. I'm pretty sure there's been points that we have sent tracks to each other, and we just haven't gotten around to fucking doing it. So that has to change.
Absolutely. It was like that with me and Mac 11 for the longest time too.
Yeah, Andrew.
We only did. We've only done one song, but for the longest time we talked about doing a song, and then finally we ended up doing one. And it was dope, but
Mac's deadly.
It just took
he's
forever.
A good guy.
Yeah, no, he's best kind.
Andrew's
man.
a good guy.
I've always liked him. I've never really hung out with him or anything, but I've always liked the dude.
We got to know each other a little bit on a personal level. I did a couple of one music video drive in Japan for him. He's on maybe 5 records with me. We had a song called No Longer that hit the radio stations in Newfoundland and shit like that. We were actually talking a few months ago about actually putting a budget in behind that and trying to revamp it because it didn't go much further than Newfoundland. So if we were to release it with a proper
rollout,
it would be releasing it all over again.
Yeah, exactly. When it doesn't it's something when something gets a bit of local recognition, but if you don't push it further, there's always still a chance to push it further. Yeah. And there's a lot of artists that just put music out and then forget about it. It's they push it for the first little bit, and I'm guilty of it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I do it all the time. I'll put something out, and then I'll push it for the first 3 days, week.
And then on to the next.
If it's a music video, I'll push it for 2 weeks because I'll usually put ads into it and shit like that. But besides that,
it's like my stepson. He's 19 now, and he was listening he wanted to hear some of my old music, so I provided him a SoundClick link.
Yeah,
right. SoundClick, not SoundCloud. SoundClick.
That's dating yourself,
right?
Anybody that's listening and watching, SoundClick is
where it started,
a blast from the past, and that's really where a lot of people put their first music.
Absolutely.
I think my first couple songs were put on SoundClick.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Enough.
That's what we had. SoundCloud wasn't invented at that point.
I think SoundCloud might have been around first when I dropped my first couple songs.
Okay.
But it was only new.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool because like Landon was saying to me, he was like, "Man, you got like 60 songs on this page," and then I gave him my SoundCloud link, and he's like, "And you got about another fucking 60 songs on this one," and you know it was things when he was playing it, I was like, "Holy fuck, man, I forgot about that song," and it was wild to listen to the hunger and how impressed I was with myself at that point in time, and I was like, "What the fuck, man?" Like,
yep.
Right, all I had was music, and like I didn't have a good environment to grow up in, so like music was my safe spot. Like I'd go home, and instead of dealing with some shit that'd be going on in my family life and stuff like that, I'd just seclude myself to the room and fucking bump out 5 songs a day, and they were like quality songs. And then now I'm 32, and I'm like. It's like fucking straining a dry fucking rag trying to get something out of it. And it's like, what the fuck?
I've been trying to write for this cipher for the awards show, and I got something started, but I'm like, man, what is going on with me? And like, but it's because I've also taken a break for like the past few months from doing music stuff.
Yeah.
I've only really been doing a lot of cooking video stuff. For anybody that's checking this out that hasn't checked out my cooking stuff, go check out Feast with Frank on Instagram and YouTube.
Absolutely well worth it.
Yeah, that's we're gonna be hosting a lot of catering events and putting out a lot of cooking videos on the YouTube channel, and so check out both of those places to stay up to date with it and see if we're gonna be anywhere near you soon.
Yeah, and another big thing too, dude. Life happened and we're dads now, right?
Yeah,
we have children now, and like. The time that we used to be able to put into the music, now we put into raising our kids the way we need to, and providing proper care and being good role models. So and you're definitely a great role model for your son. You're doing a great job, buddy.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I 100% agree with you too.
Thank you.
I see you doing stuff with your son all the time, and I see how you act towards him, and I see how you talk about him when we're together and stuff, man. And I know that you love that dude.
Oh, he's my reason, man. He's my everything.
Absolutely, and it's the same thing with my little guy.
Oh, and I see that through and through.
Yeah, man. So let's get into a little bit more about the music stuff here for a bit. So when did you start rapping, and what inspired you to actually start writing your first song? I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, do you?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah?
I remember very vividly.
Walk us through it.
So when I was 5, my dad taught me how to play guitar. I was always into like, you know, fucking classic rock and shit like that. The first song I ever learned how to play was Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. And I was in grade 2 at that point, you know?
Yeah.
So my dad was always into that genre.
Yeah.
Didn't really care for hip-hop too much. And around grade 4, one of my friends introduced me to Tupac Changes. And that was like my first introduction.
Tupac up there.
Oh yeah, I know. I see him. So like that was my first introduction to really. It was a late start, but that was my introduction to it. So then I went to like DMX, and I remember my mom like getting these little catalogs in the fucking mail, and you'd be able to sign what like CDs you want. That's exactly it, dude.
I remember those too. So my mom used to get them.
And there were CDs that weren't. I had no business listening to in grade 4, you know what I mean? No fucking business. And that's where my stemming love for hip hop came from. But I remember vividly, man. There was a rapper here in Newfoundland, Damon Field.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Jokes.
God rest him, man.
Rest in peace, man.
I remember hearing his music from a friend of mine, my best friend at the time, Jordan Garberg. His brother Shane was really good friends with him.
Yeah.
And I remember Jordan just showing me this music, and I was like, this is fucking crazy, because I was into metal music at the time, and he was very like deathcore, underground, like fucking rap. Yeah. But it was so.
It was good.
It was unique.
Yeah, it was very unique.
When I heard this, I was just like, who is this dude, man? And he was like, oh, this dude lives in Kilbride. And I'm like, what? Like, where did he record this music to? Down in fucking LA somewhere? And he's like, no, dude, like in his bedroom.
Yeah, he recorded it in his bedroom.
And that just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
I was like, I just couldn't fathom that you have this idea of a recording studio, right? And it's just like it's this huge fucking multi-million-dollar thing. Yeah. So like for me to wrap my head around that he did it in his bedroom and made it sound that good, I was like, what the fuck? So I remember, honestly, like, I don't know if it's cliche or corny to say, but like I wanted to be just like this dude, man. I was like, what the fuck? This dude is insane. So I went out and I remember my stepdad bought me this old mic. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. It was down at Music City when it was on Brookfield Road, or no, Waterford Bridge Road down there. Like, and he came home one day and gave me this mic, and I had no knowledge of anything. So I was just taking this mic and literally plugging it into the fucking red jack in your computer. Yeah. And like that's how I was recording. So, but the first song I ever recorded, it was over a Swollen Members beat. It was Fuel Injected. Yeah. And I remember taking it, and me and my buddy had no weed one day, and we were just like fucking around, and we made this rap about different strains and weed, and we were writing it over that beat. Yeah. So I remember taking this like old computer mic. It was just a literal fucking stick with a foam piece on the top of it. And I wrapped it up in a towel, and I was like, this is gonna fucking be great, man. And had the clothes hanger with the fucking pantyhose on it. Yeah. And I remember recording that song, and in my head, me and Jordan were going to be rappers together and start this fucking group, and I just continued on with it, and he didn't, right? No, it was just something fun for him, and that's where it came from. Damon Field. If it wasn't for me hearing his music, I don't think I would have went to be a rapper. I feel like
there's probably a few people like that, man.
I think so too. And he doesn't get mentioned enough in Newfoundland hip hop, but he was a staple. I haven't talked about this publicly. I guess this is going to be the first time. But I've been slowly working on a documentary about Newfoundland hip hop over the past little bit. That's cool.
And I'm going to interview a bunch of people, and like yourself included. I want to get you involved for that. But I want to touch a little bit on him as well. Yeah. Because I feel like he deserves to, and I feel like there's a few people. His
mom is still. You know, she's still a friend of mine, and she reached out to me there a few years ago, and she gave me. Damon was known for wearing this hoodie called Harley's Hard Rock Saloon hoodie with the skulls on the side and shit. Yeah. And I remember all growing up, I wanted that hoodie so fucking bad. And his mom reached out after I did this Telegram paper. The Telegram had me in the fucking in the studio, and they came over, did a front page paper on me and shit like that. So when I did that, I mentioned Damon, and his mom, I didn't know her at this time, but she read it, and you know, I guess years after her son passed, she read that. He inspired me so fucking much. That's cool, man. She gave me his hard drive with all of his unreleased vocals and shit, dude, and it was crazy that she trusted me that much to do that. Yeah, absolutely. And so I took some of his songs, and then I got to make a posthumanist song with Damon, and it was called Spooky Scary Skeletons, and like I've never really released it or anything, but it's still sitting in my drive and stuff. That's cool. I didn't want to get any recognition or try to seem like I was, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just for me. It was for my own personal knowledge and shit like that.
Absolutely, dude. Something like that is good to just have for the library, and to be able to sit there and listen to it yourself, and like know that someone who you consider to be your inspiration when it comes to this stuff, to get into it, you were able to do a song with them and just keep it for yourself.
Absolutely.
That's like something special beyond
I locked it in the vault value. And that was, and I didn't need no one to hear it. Just the fact that I can hear my vocal on a song with Damon, it was cool. It was like some full circle shit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is really some full circle shit.
Absolutely.
So, with being in the local scene for as long as you have, like we were just saying, you've been in it for a while now. You've been making music a long time. You've been a bigger name in the scene for a long time, which is in itself a feat of its own, because not many people have been able to have longevity and stick around for that long. You know what I mean?
And as well, because even thinking at it, like when I think back on it, is like I don't know. I don't see those accomplishments and stuff like that. Like,
but it's true. You do have them. Like, you've played, like, we were talking about this earlier. You played at Mile One a few times.
Yeah, twice.
You've had songs on the radio a bunch.
Yeah.
You've, like, opened for countless bigger acts. You've gone across the country and played a festival as well.
It was pretty cool.
Like, yeah. And we'll get into that now in a little bit as well. I'll ask you a question about that. But, like, as someone who's been in the scene and who has been able to stay in it so long and relevant in it for so long, what do you think the current state of hip-hop in Newfoundland is? And do you think it's getting better, and you think it's better than it has been? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, from when I first started there, you know, you can count on two hands almost the
Same
amount
thing
of
when I
rappers.
started, man. There wasn't very many then either.
There really wasn't. You didn't come out too long after me, you know what I mean? So it was like Leafits, Radar, Johnny Hardcore, Prototype, Lodge Larvin Direct.
Yeah.
These dudes, man, and
yep, there was a lot of those guys,
and they were there. And when I came into the scene, it was Turner's Tavern and Jason Windsor. So Jason was, shout out to Jay, man. He believed in me when he heard my music, and he gave me a platform. He gave me a place to perform. I remember being 15 and having to get my mom to come down and sign
to come down
shit.
with you and sign a piece of paper and stuff, and be there while you were performing and stuff.
It was pretty fucking wild. And then it got to the point that like Jay would just like get me into these clubs and shit and get me these opportunities and stuff. So like he was a huge staple in the hip hop community and making it happen and keeping some life to it.
Yeah, he was a little bit before my time. He was just before I came into it. So like I came into it on the tail end of his stuff, and I was doing stuff at Distortion, and like Glenn at Distortion, God love him, used to give us the opportunity to go there and do the stuff that we used to do, and put off the shows, man. And we had lots of great times there. Did you? I'm not sure if you ever played any shows at Distortion. Did you?
Too many.
Yeah, man.
Too many. Jason, actually, that's when Turner's Tavern shut down.
That's where
we moved over to, was Distortion.
Because I remember when he stopped doing his show so much around, I was doing a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And I guess I kind of slipped in there at Distortion and filled the void.
Yeah, Jay was he was awesome. He still is, man. Like me and him went to a basketball game there Saturday night together. Yeah. So like it's pretty cool that we still stayed in contact. And
it's crazy to see now where it is here and all the things that are going on compared, like hip hop wise now, compared to what was going on back then, and how many artists there are now, how many good artists there are now.
There are, man. And back to the original question too. Like I remember telling people I was doing hip hop, and they'd look at me sideways, like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, dude.
Right? Like you're not a folk singer. Like you got no room here. And that was the general census on hip hop back then. And now it's just so generally accepted, and it's fucking blossomed and developed into such a huge community here. It's insane, to be honest, to look back and be like, wow.
Yep, absolutely, dude. To see where it's even grown just in the past, like, I'd say even since COVID, funny enough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, before COVID, it was almost like everything was taken advantage of, or we were all taking advantage of the fact. And then when COVID hit, this was like one of the only places you could tour or do shows or anything. And we toured during COVID.
Absolutely.
And
you guys
did a bunch of shows.
You did.
And it was fucking dope, man. But I feel like that's when the scene almost started to blossom a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like there wasn't people, well, not going across the province, especially not then.
No.
And there wasn't a lot of bigger hip hop shows happening, but then people started doing more and more and more with it.
Absolutely.
There was different sections, I should say.
Yeah,
I don't know why I don't know why I tried to abbreviate that. That was the worst abbreviation ever.
That's awesome.
But yeah. There was like different sections, right? And people started branching off and doing bigger things and doing a lot more stuff and getting more recognition for the hip hop community, which is great, man.
Absolutely, dude. It's great to see.
Yeah, it is. So, having collaborated with some bigger names, like you've collaborated with Danny Fernandez, Young Stitch, and Uncle Fester, just to name a few.
Mercules.
And Mercules as well, yep. What has been your favorite collaboration with an artist over the years, and do you have any more big collaborations in the works you might be willing to speak on at the moment?
It's hard to say favorite. I'd say on a personal level, me and Danny, we really got to know each other, and it was more so than just payment of music and stuff like that.
It was just more. It was more than just like a transactional.
Yeah,
thing.
like Danny would FaceTime me like a few times a day and just chat. And he was supposed to come here.
I remember we were talking about this
2 years ago, I believe, and the show ended up not happening because Danny got into a horrible accident, and he called me, and he was stapled from his chest down to his belly button. Like it was insane.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about something like that.
You know, that's completely out of someone's hands.
Yeah, I mean,
but Danny's a great guy, man. Mercules was pretty cool too. My old management kind of set that one up, and there was payment involved in that one and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
and we got to know each other on a bit of a personal level. Like every time he comes here, he extends the olive branch for me to open up and hang out with them and shit like that. So like, I'd say Danny and Merc were pretty cool. As for upcoming features, I do have another song or two in the vault with Danny that I haven't really touched base on or worked with or even released or thought about it yet. But it's there. It's a sitting duck in the vault.
Yeah. That's cool though. It's cool to know that you got another one sitting there with him that you could release at some point. Yeah. And like, I know like, when you hear some of the songs that people do with bigger artists and you hear some of the verses that they get from the bigger artists, they don't really mesh with the style of the artist that's doing it.
I hear you. It's almost like it was a prefabricated song.
Like
just
it was something that
right?
they didn't write for it or whatever. Yeah. But with all the ones that I've heard from you, I've always thought that it was definitely specifically written just for you, and that there might have been some kind of connection between you and the artist other than just like a transactional thing fully. Yeah,
and the song blossoms into more so then, you know what I mean? Instead of just being like, hey, here's a payment, here's a prefabricated verse, put your shit on it and just deal with it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And like, it's a lot better than, and it just like flows better and it kind of has a better vibe. You know what I mean?
Definitely, it's more natural.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see more people from here collaborating with bigger named artists as well, because then it does help put a little bit of a spotlight on Newfoundland as well.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And like you really got to push on the other hand to make people know that you're from Newfoundland, because a lot of the times when they hear it, they're hearing it outside of Newfoundland and it's like, oh, this is just some dude from, the mainland or something like that. But then, I always try to represent Newfoundland and push the fact that I'm a Newfoundland artist.
Yep, absolutely. And I've noticed that about you, like, and you've always put on for Newfoundland, and like, I know that you definitely did when you went and performed at Electric Love Music Festival, which was part of a contest that you won. The contest that you won of Where It's At Entertainment hosted here to find the best rapper in Newfoundland.
Was it called So You Think You Can Rap?
I think it was called So You Think You Can Rap.
I think it was.
I was a part of that too, actually.
Yeah.
And so was Rocka G. Yep. And there was a bunch of other people. Was Decay a part of that too?
Decay was Young Shrimp.
Yeah, Young Shrimp.
That was the first time I ever seen him perform or even knew who he was. And I was just like, wow, this dude's like fucking so young. He's here with his parents and shit too. It's just like being like Lee Fitz and watching me come into Turner's Tavern with my parents. So I was like, that's pretty cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, man. I wish I would have actually ended up being able to be there for that, but I ended up not getting my tickets in time, I wasn't able to sell any. And honestly, I was just a bit salty and I didn't go after that.
Yeah. I could see that. I would have been too.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever. But like, I have respect for everybody who did it and everybody was a part of it. And I know it was huge for you, man. I know when you won, I could tell that it meant something big.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool moment, man. It was definitely a spotlight and a proud moment.
Absolutely. So like,
because the competition that I was up against was phenomenal.
It was definitely the best rappers on the island. And then with Young Shrimp coming out as an artist really then too. Yeah. A few people knew who he was. Like I kind of knew who he was before just because I'm from Central. Yep. But like I'd heard him through a few other Central artists, but like I'd never met him at that point myself. Yeah. And like Lucas Hillier, shout out to Lucas Hillier. He shot a bunch of videos for me, and he was shooting videos for Young Shrimp too. Yeah, so like I kind of heard a bit through him, and I was like, damn, this kid is like
he
really coming out
good, man. He's
haven't heard anything from him now in a long time.
Me either, but like when he was doing shit, man, he was consistent and he was good, man.
Absolutely,
like, there's no denying that.
No, so what was it like to win that? Like, tell us how, like, what your experience was like winning that contest and how it was to go out to BC and perform at the festival and all that.
It was pretty cool, man. I haven't done much traveling prior to that. So it was an experience for me to get to go with my two buddies, Adam and Amir. They went with me. But when I actually won the contest, I didn't know where the contest was going to go or who the fuck was going to win it. So when they actually narrowed it down, I remember when they called the two runner-ups, and I thought the two runner-ups were going to be the two finalists.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that the two runner-ups were runner-ups, and then I won it. So it was kind of really shocking, and I was just like kind of like, wait, what? Like I won that? I thought someone else just got called.
Yeah, well, like you would. I feel like a lot of people would just be like, wait, what?
Yeah, so it was kind of I didn't expect it, and then COVID hit, and I didn't think that it was going to happen for the longest while because shit just wasn't it wasn't moving. And so COVID hit, shut down everything, and then I remember like a year and a half later, Chelsea from Where It's At Entertainment, she messaged me and she's like, yo, are you still ready to go and perform? And at this point I had it written off basically, like this isn't going to happen type shit.
Yeah, because it was so long.
Yeah, and then she's like, you need to get your COVID vaccines and hop on the fucking plane and go. And so that was like August the 5th. I'm going to say that's when it was.
Yeah.
Flew up to Kamloops. It was wild. It was such a big stage and there were so many people there, and it was a predominantly EDM festival. People fucking loved the hip hop and shit, dude. It was a surreal moment. It was cool as fuck, and had a lot of funny experiences on that trip and stuff too. So
yeah,
I never really got to experience much outside of Newfoundland at that point. So I remember like driving and seeing trains and shit passing me, and I was in the back seat snapping my fucking camera. And my buddy Amir and Adam, they
were just laughing.
They've traveled the fucking almost the fucking world with hip hop with Real Wolf Productions. So they've worked with the biggest names going.
Yeah, man.
And I remember Amir looking back at me. He's like, "What the fuck are you taking pictures of?" And I was like, "The train." And Adam and Amir were like, "What the fuck, man?" Sure. They were laughing so hard, and Amir was like almost in tears. He was like, "This is such a beautiful moment to witness you experiencing this." And I was like, I found it so funny. But on the flight up, it was a funny backstory on this trip. There's this gentleman, I won't drop names or anything, but he also won a competition in another province, and he was on the flight up with me.
Yeah.
And I was fucking very nervous, and he was just like calming me down the whole time, funny as hell, super cool and chill to talk to. When we landed at the airport, Amir and Adam picked me up, and he went his separate way. So I never got to see him until the next day when the performance and shit was happening.
Yep.
So I remember doing my performance and stuff, and later on that night, I was walking through the crowd and stuff, and I just heard someone going, Nate, Nate. And I'm like looking around like, who the fuck is calling out my name here, man? And here was this guy, and he's like, Nate, looking dead in my eyes, are you okay? How are you feeling, Nate? And I was like, I'm fucking great, man. How are you? And I went to go dab him up, and like my buddy Adam was like, Nate, don't fucking touch him. And I was just like, why? And he's covered in shit. And I looked down. He's a tall dude, so I'm looking up at his eyes, you know what I mean? I'm fucking looking at his face, and then I look down. He got no fucking pants on. The dude is covered in shit, and he got a pair of khaki pants just hanging around one fucking ankle, and I was just like, oh my God, like that would have been a shitty fucking experience, literally. So found out that he took like 10 hits of fucking liquid acid and lost his mind. I really hope that the guy fucking made a recovery, because he was a really good person, and he was a different human being that night.
Yeah,
and for the next 2 days, I was just like walking from
he was probably in another universe.
Oh,
man.
he was. He thought aliens were coming. He told the fucking DJ to turn his vocals off, because if they aligned with the frequency of the beat, the aliens were coming. So at that point, the DJ cut him off, and he tried to bum rush the stage and shit himself. And yeah, it was we named him Shitty Bill, and
Shitty Bill.
Yeah, that's how we reference him now. And the guy, for the next 2 days, I'd be walking down the fucking path, and he would just be there standing like a fucking post, just looking around in space. And I was just like, oh no. This poor guy lost his mind.
Yeah, well, like, man, doing that much, you definitely wouldn't be normal for the next little bit.
Oh, no.
Like, your brain would be so warped. I remember, when we
flew home together, he was a different human.
Oh, yeah, he probably... I don't even want to say this because it's possible, but he might not have ever really been the same again.
No, I don't think so. I hope he recovered.
I did a bunch of acid in like a full month one time, and like I remember, man, doing it. It was a good month, but I always felt like maybe there was,
Absolutely.
Maybe there was a piece of me that stayed with that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but it was a cool experience.
That is definitely a cool experience, man, and like being able to get to go and do those types of things in different places of the country, different parts of the world. Everything is what we do this for. Initially, man. I mean, inevitably at the end of the day, it's what we do it for.
Yeah, it started out as just a part-time passion, and then it turned into something that.
Well, yeah, and it's still a passion, obviously. Like I have a passion.
Dude.
And I know you do too.
It's therapeutic. It's a therapy.
But I'd like to, me personally, my goal of it is like to be able to make it. It's not even making money. It's just going to different parts of the world and performing.
Yeah, me too. I
don't even care about like even if I got to bring myself to there to perform. I just want to start traveling more, and while I'm traveling, performing, just to get the name out there a bit.
Yeah, dude, and just to get to experience life.
But that's
man.
what I mean.
There's so much outside of Newfoundland.
Yeah, and like luckily for me, I grew up in Toronto, so you
got to experience it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was 10 years old.
That's why when you were talking about the trains, I remember first when I moved to Toronto, the first time I ever saw like a GO train.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck is this?
It's like, motherfucker, we still got tracks here, but we ain't got no trains, man. You can go to the train museum and see that shit down there. You can see
like a couple cars and shit, but like there ain't no trains here in Newfoundland.
No. And there should be. There should be. It would make life so convenient.
If there was a train still here in Newfoundland, that would be beautiful. You'd get across the island so much quicker.
Do it a few hours, and like the reason apparently they don't is because the track is like
it's a different kind of track, yeah.
Yeah, so and it's like too wide or too short or something.
Yeah, it's a little too like thin or something.
Yeah,
I think it's not wide enough. And it was from like a different train. From what I know, maybe I'm spitting out stupid information here.
I could be too.
I know it's something to do with the track, and they stopped making those trains.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to upgrade it.
Yeah.
So they just stopped doing it.
Typical Newfoundland, right?
Dude.
Keep us in the past. Keep us 20 years behind everyone.
Yeah.
Spend your money on gas and drive.
We'll leave it at that because, like,
I love the place.
We could see. I love it here, but we could sit here and talk about that kind of stuff for the next 20 minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it's a beautiful place. It's a great place to live, but everything's expensive here, and there's not much extra to do.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So it's a bit...
And that could have been a blessing for our music and stuff because we didn't have anything extra to do, so we found something.
Yeah, but... Oh, well. So, like, I had another couple questions to ask you, too, man. So, at this point in your career, you do a bit of everything from engineering to writing, rapping, shooting music videos. You shoot commercials. You've done, like, weddings, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Besides being an artist itself, which of the other things do you enjoy doing the most and why?
Videography, because even weddings, because I get to travel through Newfoundland with that.
Yep.
I've had an opportunity come up that I may get to go to Cancun, Mexico in 2025 to shoot a fucking all-exclusive destination wedding.
Dude, that's beautiful.
So, like, I told the people, like, I don't want to get paid for that. You just pay for my fucking trip.
And I'll go and
I will go, right? It'll be one day of filming, and then the remainder of that time is going to be a trip, you know? Yeah. So that's something I thoroughly enjoy.
Absolutely,
and to be able
to
provide something to someone, you know, a wedding is a special day to people. So it's like if I can capture that moment and have the couple come back and be like, you know, you exceeded our expectations and stuff like that. It's heartwarming. It's cool.
Well, I mean, you're helping them capture a day that they'll want to remember forever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and like they got family members that like a lot of the times that are they're elderly, right? And like you're capturing a moment, and I think about like 10 years time, 5 years time, these people might not be around. So
so like it could, it's a different kind of memory besides just being the marriage, right?
Right. And it's and some people just do it just to do it for the money and stuff. But like I always feel such a sentimental connection to these couples when I shoot their weddings and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I could see that, man. The videography stuff is something that I really enjoy myself, and it's something that I'm trying to get more and more into and dabble more into with the cooking videos, doing these podcasts and stuff like that. Yeah. And I want to start doing more photography stuff. I've actually been building up like a portfolio and stuff more and more lately.
Cool, dude. Get some pictures for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need some upgraded ones.
Well, I need some too. So how about you get some for me and I'll get some for you?
Let's do it. We can do tit for tat all the way.
Like I always have the camera gear. It's funny because you know the struggle. Yep. The guy behind the camera always has the gear, but he can never get anybody to do anything for him. Right? You can't film yourself. What you can kind of now, because there is like stuff that will help you do it, because like
you can get shit to track you and stuff.
Well, I was just gonna say you can get stuff to set up with like a screen that like turns around and looks at you and it'll like track you and shit.
But like to actually, get the gimbal and capture those moments, and like you go into it being like, I'm gonna save my money now and I'm gonna learn how to do music videos for myself, and it's just like, wait
a second, I'm not learning how to do it for myself, I'm learning how to do it for everybody fucking else.
Yeah, I can't fucking film myself, so I have to take a friend out and be like, shoot a scene and be like, can you mimic this?
Well, you gotta learn yourself and then you gotta teach somebody else. And it's like, not only are you becoming a videographer, you're teaching someone else or multiple people in the process to become them, because you can't always get the same person either.
Absolutely.
So like then it ends up being like 3 or 4 of your friends slightly learn videography skills.
Yeah, shout outs to a lot of my friends for taking that time and effort with me too.
Yeah, well, that's like me. Shout out to fucking Dougie A for that, because he's helped me a lot.
Tyler Stevens and Amir, they're my homies, man. They've done a lot behind the camera for me. So all my music videos and shit that I'm in the frame, those dudes took care of that. Anything like scenic and shit that I'm not in the frame myself, I usually do myself. But like, shout outs to friends, man. You gotta have good support.
Man, you gotta have good support. That's one of the biggest things when it comes to this business and like industry, I've found. If you don't have a good team around you when you're doing anything, nothing will happen. No. It doesn't matter if you're the best rapper in the world and you're sitting there and you're doing everything right. If you're by yourself, you'll get too burnt out eventually, and you won't be able to do it all.
And you lose the passion and love for it, man.
Yeah. And like I feel like I'm going through that a little bit now when it comes to the music stuff. Not that I've lost passion for it, but
it just gets hard mentally to overload yourself with every aspect of it, and it takes away from the creativity that you can put in as an artist, because you're so critical on all the shit that you do, because it's all your fucking hands.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, and that's why I had to take a step back and like really address it and ask myself which few of these things do I want to focus on that I think I could do and help me further what I'm doing more. Yeah. And when I sat down and I thought about it, it was doing the catering thing and it was doing the video stuff.
And you got a passion for cooking and you love it, so it's like it just goes hand in hand. Right?
Exactly, man. And like and it also comes down to doing like the radio to cooking and the video stuff. Yeah. That's what I really wanted to focus on, and like all the money that I was sinking mostly into the music stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still doing music stuff and I'm still putting money into it and everything, but just not as much as I was. And I've been able to siphon some of it off and stick it into these other avenues.
Absolutely.
And
the long run is to find something that's sustainable to make a career with.
Yeah, you know absolutely.
I mean? That's why we started all this stuff.
Yeah, and like I got a good job. I got a really good job. I have good benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it's
same here. And like my workplace is actually like one of my biggest support systems with my music and stuff. You know what I mean? So like shout outs to Atlantic Cultivation and like Chris Crosby and stuff for giving me the opportunity to have a career and to have somewhere where I can be stable. And through health issues and through anything, like they have been a team that have been there to support me the whole way. So it's really nice, man, to go from like workplaces where you're just a number, you really are a number, and to somewhere where you're actually valued and appreciated.
Yeah, man, it's really good to be able to work somewhere that appreciates you, your time, and your effort and your skills.
Absolutely.
Shout out to my employer too. Actually, honestly, the Hollow Noggin Vape Shop.
Fucking best vape shop going, buddy.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that. Then the owner Jim, he's been probably the best boss that I've ever had.
That's awesome.
And if it wasn't for his son, Brady Refuse, shout out to LJ Brazy and Far Central Collectibles. If it wasn't for that guy, I wouldn't even be in the position to be in that I am now.
Exactly, right. And it takes a lot to acknowledge that too, and to know that, right? So it's a cool thing.
Yeah, man. So it's been good to get you over here, man, and talk a bit about it. I feel like that's probably a good place to end off now.
Yeah, man, it's great.
We've been chatting for a little bit, and definitely going to get you over to do more of these in the future. We need a
song. Hey, we need a song.
And we need a song.
And then we can film each other and
do an actual video.
Right, we can film each other and then get our friends to film us in the scene too. So come on, boys, you got to get ready. Yeah, well, man, what the fuck, dude? What? Now that you said it like that, like, yeah, okay.
No, I knew what you meant.
We're going to film a scene together, baby.
We get the boys to film us in a scene together.
Get DK over the boys. Shout outs to Dave. I fucking love you, you motherfucker.
Oh, man. I've never really hung out with him too much, but...
He's a riot, man.
Yeah, I know. I've heard and
He's a fucking riot.
I've heard. And I've seen videos, man, because he posts random stuff all the time.
Man,
and I'm just like, dude.
He's something, right? I remember first meeting that dude, and I was just like... He came up to me, and I was drinking the Smirnoff Ice, and he's like... What are you sponsored by Smirnoff? And like, he just looked at me with this fucking Dave look, and I was like, this guy's a fucking prick.
Yeah.
And then
he was probably loaded.
Oh, he was. He absolutely was. But me and him fucking formed a bond that's honestly like no other that I have. For favorite collaborations, honestly, it is with Dave, even out of all the big people.
Yeah.
Because when we get in the lab together, we can't even fucking record. There's just
too much
laughter, man. And like, it's the same when we perform too, and it's just like our friendship always comes out on top of being artists, so it's so natural. And like, if he fucking says something funny on stage, I like, there's been times I stopped rapping because I can't stop fucking laughing on stage. And then like, it's just like two people up there doing a comedy set.
I get it, because that's like when me and Rocka G are up on stage lots of times, man.
That's exactly like that.
Yeah, it's me and Rocka got the same kind of chemistry. We don't perform together a lot anymore, but it's only because like,
shout out to Rocka G's fucking beast.
Yeah, shout out to Rocka G. If you've never heard of Rocka G, go check him out. You can check him out on this radio station, because you're going to be listening to this on UHRS1. You're going to be checking out the video version of this on the UHRS1 website. You'll be able to see all that stuff very soon.
Awesome.
But yeah, shout out to Nate Douce for coming over and doing this interview. Shout out for being such a big part of the community here, man, because you really are, even though you don't see yourself to be.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that,
You
man.
help put Newfoundland hip-hop on a bigger stage, more than just here in Newfoundland.
I appreciate that so much, and it's nice to hear that come from someone else, because I don't give myself credit, and it's something I lack sometimes, and I need to shake that shit off and fucking, own it sometimes.
Dude, you do, and I understand it, and that's why I try to say it a lot more to people, because I don't do it myself either. No. So I'm like, that's why I always try to make sure that people around me that I know do something good, to give them credit for doing what they do. Yeah. And we got an award show coming up, the UHRS1 award show coming out April the 5th, April the 6th in Corner Brook. Yeah. I'm going to be out there, 3-time nominated this year. Absolutely. Might have even be a winner. Who knows? We'll find out soon. Right? It's all for the love, and it's an experience that I can't wait to be a part of. So regardless of winning or not, it's winning anyways, to get to go out and to perform and to, do what you love. So it's cool. Absolutely, man. I can't wait to go out there. It's going to be a laugh, and I can't wait to get you out there, man, and have you out there for some performances. Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be good to see you and other artists like Albert Dalton from the city out in other parts of the province performing. Absolutely. Yeah. So shout out to everybody who's listening right now. Shout out to everybody who's taken the time to listen to this whole episode. This has been an episode of The Blend. You're listening on UHRS1. My name is Frank. We're here with my homie Nate Douce. Hey, thanks for having me, Frank. Not a problem, man. If you guys got a second, go check out Nate Douce on all streaming platforms right now. His newest single, Nobody, is available on all streaming platforms as well. And people might get confused sometimes, with the spelling. So it's N8DOUCE. There you go. N8DOUCE, Nate Douce. Boom. Go check him out on all streaming platforms. Go check out some of his fire-ass videos on YouTube as well. Peace. Peace.